Yeah, well, I was also just going to say, like, for people who are fans of 100 Thieves, at least they got some points from the fantasy app because they went 0-3. So at least Doublelift was on top and Bjergsen was number 2.
And I will say, at least you got one thing correct in your prediction. Was there a second game that you got correct?
Yeah. No, I think you're right. This was the first, like, upset I predicted. But to be fair, is it even an upset when one's 5-4 and one's 4-5? I don't think it's not even an upset.
Yeah, the better team won.
Yeah, what do you...
You
just like you should have predicted them 3-0.
My bad.
You could be so much higher on their power ranking. Like, you would be S tier if you actually just said the 3-0 bit.
If you hadn't stepped in and said, this team is not going to 3-0, but
I thought
they're
they
going
were
to
2-1.
rise in the standings.
Yeah, I thought they'd be 2-1, and I thought this would be the only loss. And I was like, no, I should have gone farther.
Yeah.
Insane.
Are they your biggest surprise of the
Golden Guardians?
We're wrapping
Absolutely.
up round robin, yeah.
I think Golden Guardians would be my biggest surprise. Like, I expected this team. I mean, we already went through our tier list, like, from the beginning of the split. We expected them to be, I think it was 7th.
Yeah, around that.
Like, pretty consistently around there. And now they are a team that's consistently,
Literally everyone had them 8th.
There it is.
Yeah.
Guardians, yeah.
You're right. So 8th would be something that we expected. But once Gory came in, it felt like they're, the 3 strongest players for me consistently was Huhi, River, and Gory. Stixxay had a huge performance throughout this week.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just like overall, it feels like the one thing I didn't expect to call them out for is their consistency. Their team fights have been something that has been a huge positive for them, and their bot lane has been consistently winning out. And so I'm like, okay, wait a minute. That's not something I would naturally expect. So going into next week, it's nice to watch out for.
Yeah, I think the thing that surprised me the most is their communication and coordination. Because obviously, they had the 0-4 start. Even in that, their early games were surprisingly well coordinated and thoughtful. So it was just kind of like, okay, you get past the mid game and figure that out. And even in this game, when they did overextend, you could see them kind of reel it back and reapproach.
I think for me, the biggest takeaway from this weekend is just how wrong all preseason expectations kind of were. There's a couple things that are true, like, okay, obviously, FlyQuest is amazing. EG and C9 are in that kind of conversation, which people expected. But 100 Thieves and TL plummeted out of there.
Yeah.
Dignitas, way worse than people expected.
Yeah.
So TL, Immortals is around where people expected. CLG around where people expected. But, like, TSM way higher than expected.
Yep.
Like, I think this is maybe I haven't checked this, but I wouldn't be surprised if this was like the most wrong my power rankings have been after one round robin.
First round robin,
Through the first round robin. And to be fair, some of my predictions were more like, I think TL will end up 4th when I said that. I didn't think they would be a super hot team, but like this is worse than I thought. So like I'm still willing to be like, yeah, that's wrong.
Yeah, so based off of the aggregate of the preseason power rankings from the analysts on the broadcast, Dig was ranked as a playoff team. They were 6th.
Yeah.
TL was ranked as a playoff team, and 100 Thieves was ranked as a playoff team. But currently, Dig is 10th, TL is 8th, and 100 Thieves is in a tie for 6th, 7th. So COG could, in theory, win the next one and be in. And I don't think we've ever had, to your point, Mark, 3 pre-ranked playoff teams fall outside the playoffs. But I also want to stray a little bit here. Like, after a single round robin, it's really difficult to not be a prisoner of the moment.
Yeah.
Anything that has happened, you just assume is going to happen again. So what I've just been thinking about is which one of these is least likely to repeat? Because we've done one cycle.
Yeah.
And now we're going to be running another cycle. So TSM at 5-4 is the biggest delta from expectations. I had them 10th. They are actually tied for 4th. Golden Guardians was yours, Raz. Team Liquid is one for me that's in the inverse direction because I had them 3rd and they fell all the way to 8th. But yeah, I don't want to just keep talking. I want to get your thoughts.
Yeah,
first.
so for me, Team Liquid is one where like I can see why they got so much hype in scrims. So many of their games, they get huge leads. EG this weekend, C9 this weekend. Those are games in scrims where you mental collapse and you go, okay, go next. You don't do that on stage.
And they're also the exception that like disproves the rule. Bot lanes that succeed. Their bot lane is winning like every lane.
They get 2v2 kills all the
bot lane
time.
that doesn't transition to victory.
Yeah. But my point with them is like, I can see a world where their mid game somewhat fixes because a lot of the bright spots are still there, like their bot lane and stuff like that. Their early games are great. And it seems like they are one of these scrim teams, which like you get those leads in scrims and people don't care. You go on stage and they are just a mess. And that is hard to fix. It is hard being a mess like that in scrims because you're like, great, let's practice closing out with 5K gold leads. And then the enemy team surrenders. And you're like, okay, so we didn't practice our problems.
And I think I rated Team Liquid preseason the lowest. I had them as 5th.
Yeah.
And a lot of it was based off of not questions on Summit. I thought Summit would still come out firing. I thought he would be as like much better what he's showcased. So like that's obviously the point of criticism a lot of people have is transferring a lot of his laning phase like strengths to team fights. But yeah, that's been one thing. I expected Jan to not come out firing, and he has as well. It's more so mid jungle. I thought mid jungle would be a little bit of a problem in terms of like being on the same page. But that hasn't been probably the biggest issue with the team. Like that's been actually a minor thing for why they're losing. It's more so being on the same page, which I thought would never be an issue.
Team fighting.
Yeah. Being on the
You
same
didn't
page.
like the Piotrek flank for the entire end of the game?
He's still flanking.
Yeah, one day someone's
Rumor
going to check
has
that
it,
brush.
He's still there.
But that kind of goes to the point about like them speaking the same language is not going to cover for them not being on the same page.
Yeah.
It's just a gameplay thing, just how they want to, essentially how they see a team fight, or what we saw when they're going up against evil geniuses, like basically how slow they should be playing. These are just things that they should learn regardless of like a quote unquote language barrier that's not there.
Yeah.
So I underestimated that one for sure.
So are we tagging TL as the team we think will be able to reverse? Because Jatt's question was, who do you think will be able to reverse their first
Least likely
split?
to repeat.
Yeah.
So it's like, right now you're saying, oh yeah, FlyQuest will be 16-2, C9 14-4.
Yeah.
What's the
one I think is the least likely to repeat is maybe TSM, because
Hater.
it's coming off as that. It's mostly just based off of the way they play the game. It's a really straightforward front-to-back identity, and I think it's going to be difficult, A, if the meta changes, and B, if teams just kind of try and play around that. Being I wouldn't say one trick, but like having one preferred playstyle from the start of the split to the end, it doesn't usually work out in the final few weeks when teams have really ironed out their problems, are a little bit more diverse, and can, like, for instance, 100 Thieves, Team Liquid are the two teams that are below them that I expect to overtake.
Okay.
My answer is Dignitas. Like, they're not.
So
They're not 0-18.
you don't think they're 0-18?
Come.
It's happened before. Coast.
They were 117.
1-17?
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad.
It's actually so hard to go winless
18?
That's
or
true.
No,
completely undefeated.
But you say
They're
like,
not. They're
like
clearly not.
They can go 2-7 like Immortals, and they're not going to rise in the standings. Is that really reversing?
Yeah.
Well, it's at least likely to repeat, but I guess it's like the difference. I can easily see them winning like 3 games.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to remain
Which
winless.
like a 3-game change is bigger than a lot of these teams. Like a 3-game change would require TSM to go like 2-7.
Yeah.
Or FlyQuest to go like
Yeah.
5-4 or something, right? So like I actually think there's a lot of room for them to have like a 3 or 4 game change. They might make a roster change, right? 09 is a total disaster. I'm really curious to see how they respond after the first round robin being done, and if they just like continue to run it up. What are you laughing at?
Nothing. There's nothing going on. You're doing great. It's not related to you.
Okay. You just had a thought.
Moving on.
The man's brain was
When
working.
you can watch this segment back. You'll see it.
You'll figure it out. Thing you're most excited to see for the next round robin, Mark, would you like
I'll go
to
first. Sven versus Jan. Round 2, baby.
God.
The drama is already blown over. It's not a big deal. It's just like you get heated in the moment when you're playing. Everyone, it's like a solo queue moment.
Yeah.
Like someone types some stuff at you, you type back, and you go, and then you get food, and who cares anymore?
Roar.
It's not like a big deal, but it's something we're going to bring up because we love drama, and we're going to lean
Sure.
into it. And I just can't wait to make them do it again.
I just want more violence. Just more.
Yeah.
You have always been calling for
Look,
more violence.
The moment Portillo said it, I was like, I agree with you, man. we need more spice. This was good spice. I don't think an apology was needed. Maybe the no handshake thing. I didn't see that one.
I mean,
I didn't see the no handshake thing, but
even I was seeing, like, after my quote retweets and stuff, people were like hard flaming them. So like it's just really ridiculous stuff. Like,
know.
oh, you have a bad mental, you have a glass jaw. This is why you can't win internet. Like, I assume they're seeing that stuff in their DMs, and that's probably what makes them want to tweet something out to try and get it to chill, which is annoying because I agree. It's a big nothing burger. It's like, yeah, two guys like had some words and they moved, like it's nothing.
it's the same people that want banter. That when they see banter or just anything that's actually just like a disagreement that's fun, that's entertainment, they're like, actually, this one's an exception. It's like, what?
You took it too far. Can you believe it?
He glared at him. Yeah, so really quick what happened is they said stuff to each other in game. Someone took a shot at Harry, which Jan then took a shot at just C9 in general. He said, your academy team is better.
Yeah.
Then Sven beat them. So Sven then said, go back to academy. And then he was still heated and had just, quote, put Jan in his place and just stiffs him completely on the handshake. It was.
I hadn't seen the movement. I'd seen the freeze frame, but I
then,
hadn't seen it in action.
But then, like, immediately after, he sends out a tweet completely explaining what happened.
Yes.
Like, they said this, they said that. Also, I was heated in the moment. GG to Yun. Like,
yeah.
and then Yun says no apology necessary. Like,
Yeah.
they're cool.
Yeah.
completely fine.
They're fine.
Because it's not a big deal.
It's fun for us.
I do wish it was a big deal. I
What?
want more. I want the.
You want people to actually hate each
I
other.
want a little bit.
Well,
It's-
I don't want it to be a big deal so people can feel like they
Right.
can do that.
I
Yeah.
don't want it to be a big deal for them getting flamed from the community.
Yeah.
But I'd love it if it was just like I'm Team Jan, I'm Team Sven. Let's see them go at it again.
Yes.
But we just can't have that in this day and age.
Probably the funniest thing about rewatching that is just the camera shot perfectly looking at Sven, looking at Jan, like,
He is mean mugging him. He's like,
rocking away. More of that.
I wonder what Jan's face was like. He's probably just like, what? He
That's a
Yeah,
totally
like-
forgot about it.
like, oh,
The
I did
cameraman's
not
doing an
know.
amazing job out there.
Yeah. Anyone else with any big? I mean, I'm looking forward to see. So I'll say I'm looking forward to seeing Golden Guardians now face the top half of the standings. Kind of, we talked about this when we talked to both Licorice and Huhi when we had them on the desk. But Jatt asked them, is it better that you faced all these big teams? And they're just like, no, not at all. So I am curious to see how they do against like our top half of the table now that they have to face them again with their full roster and being on this win streak, which is, producers told me, the longest win streak in Golden Guardians history.
Huge.
That's what I was going to bump in with. And I was in the back of my head terrified that someone had already said it and
Yeah.
it was spaced out. So I'm glad
Now I said it.
No.
because I wanted the stat to be out in the ether. 5 games, it's a decent win streak.
It's a good
I didn't
win
want to.
streak.
Okay, so you're taking the angle
good
I
win
thought,
streak.
but I like Bambied
You're
it.
like,
You know, if you don't have
5
anything
games,
nice
the
to say,
longest ever?
Yeah.
yeah. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. So I didn't say it, but they've been in the league since 2018, a 5-game win streak.
Wasn't it before? Was
No,
it just the
I
start
think
of franchising?
they were franchise era. I think they were 2018. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think they were franchise
Yeah,
era.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, you said it,
18,
not me.
19, 20, 21, 22, 23.
You're a hater.
6. I'm a hater?
You brought it up.
I wanted to say they were going to go 3-0 this week, for the record.
Well, you didn't.
So
But I didn't. I
in
know,
his
it's-
head,
it's
he
none of
said
us did.
3-0 before Raz
Yeah,
kind of stole
did the
point.
2-1, and then I was like, why don't you say 3-0? Because I wanted
Okay,
someone to
that's
say it,
fair,
and
yeah,
I just backed off on it.
Yeah.
We should be happy for them. It's 5-0. We'll see how long they can extend it. It's the longest winning streak in their history. It's the longest winning streak currently in the LCS. And, I mean, damn.
They look good, too.
Yeah.
They're like
Yeah.
legitimately good.
A legitimate, just a snap, you're snapping your neck back, where it's like 0-4 to start. And so
Yeah.
people are expecting the same thing, into 5-0. So, yeah,
I will
bad for
actually
your
crack
neck.
my neck.
But yeah, that's definitely something to look forward to. There's another team to look forward to. I already kind of put out TSM on the thing that I don't expect, but I still am looking forward to watching their game, so I'll put them there as well, because like that is something that is really important to look for in terms of like what your set goals are coming into the split.
Yeah.
And whether you keep on that train going forward. Because if they just become the team fighting team that goes towards player comfort, continue to put Lucian on Neo and the Talia on Maple, and just say, this is what we're comfortable doing, solo on tank, straight front to back team fighting. This is what the players are strong at, and we're succeeding for that from start to end.
Run it back.
Keep it going.
Yep.
Like this is actually a really important takeaway for an organization, to keep the same core players, play to their comfort, and like not really move from that.
Yep.
Well, it should come as no surprise with their current win streak that your MasterCard Player of the Week is Stixxay.
Hey!
Oh, wow, he did not die once this week. I
did not know
actually
that.
did not know that.
The unkillable.
23, 0, and 10. That's also a crazy ratio of kills to assists.
Yes.
Yeah, he got fed in these games, and he did work with them. I think there's been a number of people, we were checking these stats, about 80 carries who have like good score lines, but their DPMs are like kind of like mid. He's above, 700 on a lot of them and 600 in this Caitlyn game.
Yeah, just watching, if you were to use your eye test in a lot of these games, he is doing really well in team fights, stepping forward and playing more aggressively where people didn't expect to see that. His Kalista game where he was like, got a lead in bot lane, dove tier 2 turret, went mid lane actually, got a kill with Huhi. They're active. They're playing pretty aggressively. This is not just like a KDA,
win rate kind of thing happening here. Like, they're just playing well, and he had the best week I've seen from him in the LCS in a long time.
Dude. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Like,
Yeah, it's hard.
COG
to
2016-ish days, you think about
Yeah,
it.
that's what I was gonna say. Actually, it's kind of bonkers seeing it's a redemption story for him, right?
It is.
Because like I remember interviewing him on stage last year, and it felt like he was really overwhelmed and like proud to be able to be back on stage because he was down in Academy. He was actually crushing it in Academy when he was there, and then got bumped up. But yeah, congratulations, Stixay. We'll take a quick look at next week's schedule for LCS.
yeah.
Also,
Let's see.
he has a Player of the Week statue, and Doublelift doesn't. So
Oh my God.
No,
he's
wow.
Bringing it back up.
We're back on.
Bringing it back
We're
up.
back on that.
Old history right there.
So we're going back to Thursday, Friday next week with FlyQuest 100 Thieves off the top, TL Honda versus Immortals Progressive. Kind of like a weird car battle there, actually. Cloud9
Need
versus
for
Golden
Speed.
Guardians, a banger. Put
The
that
win
on your
streak
schedule.
test.
Yeah. CLG versus TSM, and then EG versus Dignitas to round it out. LEC starts tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern. Salt League NACL starts tomorrow at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. It is always a good time, by the way. Salt League has some crazy picks in there.
Oh,
and that
thank
is
you.
Look,
cake again.
Hey!
That's cuties, right?
That's
That is a
definitely
nice-
cuties,
Cutie
yeah.
said something about cake that, like, she doesn't really think you can get sick from cake.
Oh,
You absolutely can get sick from
Well,
cake.
just like it can be really old and it's still fine. So I don't know about the ingredients.
Oh, I thought you were talking about like eating
I'm
too
gonna
much of it as a
pass.
kid and then puking.
Yeah,
Because I definitely did that.
The cake we gave to speaker earlier, she said it was fine.
Is
oh,
it
this
good?
is good.
I'm not gonna eat this.
This is a fresh one.
Don't touch
try?
that. No, that's in your
Really?
hands.
Okay.
Give it to Emily.
It's like when you make the mistake of accepting something you don't
Wait,
want.
face
You know?
it
I
to
could
the
start.
camera.